Hello and welcome back to the Shakey Sonnet Show. I am Tootight Lautrec, the drag laureate of the Sonnetarium, and here we are once again in the Sonnetarium at the bottom of the down staircase in the permanently sequestered remainder section of an unnamed local library which may or may not have some lions couchant on the front steps paying close attention to all the wonders that are in their world. And here we are once again on our journey as we look at all 154 sonnets of Shakespeare's 1609 quarto version of the sonnets. We've just finished looking at the rival poet sonnets, plus the follow-up of Sonnet 87, in which the narrator bids a wrenching farewell to the beloved. And now we've got a couple of triple threats, or triple treats, if you will, and I will, coming up. Today, Sonnets 88, 89, and 90 follow up the rupture of 87's farewell with a three-part argument filled with self-abasement, wound-licking, and downright groveling. Such fun. The narrator, seems, just can't get enough of the beloved. And I think the fact that it's a triple threat, it's best to just read them one right after the other, right after the other. So here we go. All three sonnets together. Sonnets 88, 89, and 90. When thou shalt be disposed to set me light, and place my merit in the eye of scorn, upon thy side against myself I'll fight, and prove thee virtuous, though thou art forsworn. With mine own weakness being best acquainted, upon thy part I can set down a story of faults concealed, wherein I am attainted, that thou in losing me shall win much glory. And I by this will be a gainer too, for, bending all my loving thoughts on thee, the injuries that to myself I do, doing thee vantage, double vantage me. Such is my love. To thee I so belong, that for thy right myself will bear all wrong. Say that thou didst forsake me for some fault, and I will comment upon that offense. Speak of my lameness, and I straight will halt against thy reasons making no defense. Thou canst not, love, disgrace me half so ill, to set a form upon desired change, as I'll myself disgrace, knowing thy will. I will acquaintance strangle and look strange, be absent from thy walks, and in my tongue thy sweet beloved name no more shall dwell, lest I, too much profane, should do it wrong, and haply of our old acquaintance tell. For thee, against myself, I'll vow debate, for I must ne'er love him whom thou dost hate. Then hate me when thou wilt, if ever, now, while the world is bent my deeds to cross. Join with the spite of fortune, make me bow, and do not drop in for an after loss. Ah, do not, when my heart hath scaped this sorrow, come in the rearward of a conquered woe. Give not a windy night a rainy morrow, to linger out a purposed overthrow. If thou wilt leave me, do not leave me last, when other petty griefs have done their spite, but in the onset come. So shall I taste, at first, the very worst of fortune's might, and other strains of woe, which now seem woe, compared with loss of thee, will not seem so. Oh, goodness. I was half kidding last week when I guessed that we'd possibly move from love sonnets to hate sonnets, but it looks like here we are, with the twist that the narrator imagines himself as the object of hatred, and it is, by the way, himself, as we see in the couplet of Sonnet 89. I must ne'er love him whom thou dost hate. Hyperbolic, Perhaps. Overly dramatic? Perhaps, yes. Hoping maybe to elicit an opposite response from the beloved of, oh, no, no, I really don't hate you. I really love you. Insincere, I would say maybe half hoping to seem insincere, or else this is groveling of a higher level than we've ever seen. But let's look at it more closely. If you consider it, Sonnet 88 sets out the generalities of the narrator's weaknesses. Sonnet 89 gets down to specifics, the lameness, the strangeness, the promise not to stalk. And Sonnet 90 gets to the effect of it all, the whole have mercy on me, and if you're going to leave me and hate me, please do it now and get it over with. Kill me quickly. So let's delve, shall we? In Sonnet 88, the first quatrain, when thou shalt be disposed to set me light, if you value me so little, basically. If you value me so little, if you scorn me, I'll join you and scorn myself. I'll scorn myself so hard that you'll look like a hero. I'll fight and prove thee virtuous, says line 4, though thou art forsworn. With the second quatrain, we get the recognition that the narrator knows his own faults. With my own weakness being best acquainted, upon thy part, I can set down a story of faults concealed wherein I am attainted. So here we have the tainted love that everyone knows and loves. I know my faults with a hint of that faults concealed, suggesting maybe my faults are concealed, but maybe, I know some of your faults that are concealed too. Just a hint thereof. But, I could tell you stories about myself, he says, and maybe possibly about you, but I'll be tainted and you'll get praised for dumping worthless me. In the third quatrain, and by this I'll be a gainer too. If I talk shit about myself, then everyone will see you in a better light for casting off filthy, stupid old me, like last week's smelly fish-headed garbage, tossing me out the back door. You'll be a winner, and then I'll be a winner too, because all I really care about is you. We see in the couplet. Such is my love, to thee I so belong, that for thy right myself will bear all wrong. I love you so much that I will bear all wrongs just to make you happy. Oh, the groveling. Could you just puke? I'm just saying, it's a bit much to believe. But we come from the last line of 88. For thy right myself will bear all wrong, to Sonnet 89, which says, for example. And I find 89 a peculiarly constructed sonnet because it doesn't appear that the sense follows quatrain, 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 and couplet, or even sestet and octet. It's more of like the sense is divided into 2 lines, 3 lines, 5 lines, 4 lines, and then 2 lines. And it gives this sort of halting sense, which, after I thought about it a moment, may have something to do with the lameness that he claims he'll feign in order to appease his love. Say that thou didst forsake me for some fault, and here come the specifics. Speak of my lameness, and I straight will halt. If you tell me you're leaving me, I'll perform the very thing that you say that you hate. I limp? Okay, then I'll limp. Second quatrain, we'll deal with it as quatrains. You can't disgrace me half so ill. There's nothing you can say to disgrace me that I won't disgrace myself even further. And this is quite nice. And this leads into the third quatrain. I will acquaintance strangle and look strange, which is one of my favorite lines. I will acquaintance strangle and look strange, be absent from thy walks, and in my tongue, thy sweet beloved name no more shall dwell, lest I, too much profane, should do it wrong. So I'll stop hanging around, acquaintance strangle, and I'll look strange, which means maybe I'll act like we are strangers, or I will act like a weirdo, which apparently isn't too hard to do. And I'll be absent from thy walks. In other words, I won't stalk you, which of course everyone loves to hear in a love poem. I won't stalk you until maybe we get to the next triplet of poems next week, and then we'll reassess. And I won't even mention that I know you, because your name in my mouth only pollutes you, which, pew. Is that your name coming out of my stinking mouth? I think it was. For thee against myself I'll vow debate. So I'll talk against myself. And here we get to the hatred. For I must ne'er love him, me, I'm a man, says the narrator. For I must ne'er love him whom thou dost hate. And it's not even if you don't love me, I won't love me either. It ups the ante. If you hate me, I will hate myself. So here we have a lovely hate sonnet. Yay! And then we get to Sonnet 90, because since we're talking about hate, the very first line, then hate me when thou wilt, if ever now. If you're going to hate me, do it now. Now, while the world is bent my deeds to cross. Everything else is going wrong. So if you're going to do it now, because everything else is going wrong. The world is bent my deeds to cross. Everything I try to do is being thwarted. The world thwarts my every effort. Don't wait till I'm beaten down and weakened by all the other slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. And then we get to the second quatrain. Ah, do not. This is becoming really pathetic. It's a cry for mercy. If ah, do not, when my heart hath scaped this sorrow, come in the rearward of a conquered woe. It's actually beautifully gorgeous quatrain, because the specificity is wrenching. Do not come in the rearward of a conquered woe. Do not give a windy night a rainy morrow, to linger out a purposed overthrow. It's just like you imagine this windy night and then coming with rain the next day. And it's just a plea. If you're going to go, go. Walk out the door. Just turn around now, because you're not welcome. Well, okay, wait. We'll see. We'll see if you are or not. Third quatrain. If thou wilt leave me, do not leave me last. Don't wait till the last minute to leave me. When other petty griefs have done their spite. Like, don't wait till I'm beaten down by the world, by everything that's happened. Just please, have mercy. I want out now. Because so I shall taste the very worst. Oh, that's really quite nice too. So I shall taste that ST, all of those STs. So I shall taste at first the very worst of fortune's might. There's nothing worse that can happen to me than you leaving me. I want it. If this is it, I want the very worst to come now, so that if I do last through it, I can somehow go on. I don't know. And here we get to the couplet. Other strains of woe, which now seem woe, compared with loss of thee will not seem so. Nothing, nothing, nothing could be worse than you leaving. If you do it now, or I won't survive. Although there's a hint that there's a hint of self-preservation. Maybe I will survive. Gloria Gaynor and I will be performing at the Globe later, and first come, first serve. But this is a song of woe, this Sonnet 90. If you look at the now, the make me bow, the sorrow, the woe, the morrow, overthrow, woe, so. I mean, it's just a song of woe, 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 woe. And it's really, really beautiful, in my estimation. because I quite like a song of woe every once in a while, and this fits the bill. So in terms of this, male or female? Well, we know that the narrator is male because we have line 14 of Sonnet 89. Dramatically, you have to feel for this poor wretch of a person. And even though we get the gender in 89, if you take this as a triplet, I'll ignore that him in line 14 of 89, and because the only one I can think of that is this pitiful is poor Ophelia in Hamlet, and I could see that at least the spirit of this being something that she might read while she's wandering around picking rue out of the field by the pond there. Narratively, we have Sonnet 87, farewell. It's over, done. And then in 88, 89, and 90, we get a bit of backpedaling. One might guess that the beautifully wrought announcement of the end of the relationship in Sonnet 87 was just a power play gone tits up, where the narrator thought this strong declaration of farewell would perhaps incite a repentance in the beloved, to be, please don't leave. I know you're saying farewell, but stay with me. And yet, perhaps Sonnet 87 says farewell, and the beloved says farewell. Oh, okay, bye. And the narrator's scrambling to try to figure out what's going on. The ambulance are coming. Everything's going squanch-wise. We'll wait for those ambulances to pick up the injured before we proceed. So 88, 89, and 90 are kind of like a, wait, no, really? You? I know I said farewell, but before you go, I've got maybe a couple dozen lines to throw your way, and if you're really going to leave me, do it now, and then cool off and come back, because I may have another 3 dozen lines or so to throw at you, and then we'll reassess, okay? That seems to be what is happening narratively in these sonnets, which are pathetic and beautiful. Now, I don't know how many of you out there have been dumped, but even if you're one of the lucky few who has never been dumped, I think we can all appreciate the ways in which love can sometimes make you crazy, and particularly when that love ends. The complexity of emotion in these 3 sonnets is really astounding. It goes through it is all woe, but it's a tremendous roller coaster of woe as we go through many different flavors of it. And from an outsider's perspective, I know it does seem crazy to endure this kind of torture, but we're all a little crazy. No? Just me? Going through 154 sonnets of Shakespeare's 1609 quarto isn't the most sane thing anyone can do? Well, I don't know. Perhaps some people do think that I'm crazy. I know that some people think that I'm crazy for other reasons too. Some people think I'm crazy for seeing wonder all around, even when the world seems to be falling to pieces. But I contend that paying attention is an active endeavor. It's not easy, which is why I feel it's good to remind you about it. It's not easy, but it's worth the effort. Pay attention. Until we meet again, I am Tootight Lautrec. Mwah.